Spiritual Learning Center, where you are empowered to create the life you desire. Our guiding belief is, by valuing and empowering all, we inspire a joyous and fulfilling life. At Vida, we study and practice the teachings of the science of mind and spirit founded by Dr. Ernest Holmes. Now, here's today's message.
Hello and welcome to the Vida Spiritual Connection. I'm Reverend Keven Kadel. I'm continuing Vida's 2023 theme of renewing mind and opening heart. July's theme is freedom, as in freedom to live your best life. And there are a few phases to liberation or freedom. The first phase is noticing limitation, noticing restriction or confinement or scarcity. Once you notice that, the next phase is choosing to reduce limitation, restriction, confinement by making changes, especially changes to your thinking. Your spiritual practices help you make these changes, and you might start by setting and resetting intentions, the intentions to have less limitation, restriction, confinement. Journaling and spiritual study also might assist you in changing your thinking. The next phase is to identify and focus on those ideas and those feelings you associate with freedom and liberation. Feelings of lightness, of breathing free, of expansion, feelings of connection, of circulation, feelings of positivity. That notion that something within you is moving or shifting, feelings of your mind opening or your heart opening, ideas that are of new possibilities and new actualities. You might meditate, pray, affirm, or vision around any of these ideas or feelings of freedom and liberation. Today I'm going to talk a little about financial freedom. Imagine that anytime the subject of money or finances arises, anytime paying or earning comes up, that you feel affluent, you feel abundant, you feel prosperous, you feel generous, and you feel aplenty. Those are just a few of the God qualities of financial freedom, of economic liberation. And they are fully alive in you. They are part of your spiritual DNA, and they're just waiting for your activation and amplification. And I know money and finances can be a little tricky, a little complicated. Where money and finances are in play, the thinking of the world around you and I does not align well with spiritual principle. As is often the case, the collective thinking is not serving my best and your best interest. And continuing along those lines, the collective thinking on money and finances really has an undue influence on our thinking, particularly those less than conscious thoughts, those patterns, those habits, those beliefs that at least I can attest that I inadvertently picked up along the way. And those patterns, habits, and beliefs are what drive my life when I'm not paying attention. Since money, finance, and the economy are inventions of humanity, they are of the world of effects. And the proximal causes of those effects are also human, and they are not all that enlightened. There is little metaphysical truth to be gleaned from those many times daily news reports about the economy. So keep your eye out for Vida classes that dig into this a little more, classes on financial freedom, on spiritual economics. And those classes are going to help you be mindful of all of these aspects of this human phase of your soul's journey. You learn metaphysical principles and apply them through your spiritual practices in order for you to rise above a lot of this thinking of the world around us. so that you can become financially free no matter how much money you have. My message today zeroes in on how you and I heal and grow consciousness, a consciousness that is financially and economically free. Now, one of the most profound influences the Science of Mind and Spirit has had on my life has been around money and finances. And I'm still healing and growing my consciousness around money and finances, I will be the first to admit. When I first came to the Science of Mind, I fell into this kind of trap, and one for which this teaching kind of has a bad rap. My experience of stress and strain and anger and resentment around money, I thought would magically vanish with this new to me metaphysical technology. I thought, well, I just need to learn and apply a spiritual principle. That's what I'm hearing. And in so doing, my financial fortunes will magically change from bad to good. Well, it's bad news, good news. My challenges around money and finances, that was my stinking thinking. Somehow along the way, I don't know how, I picked up some false beliefs around struggle and lack and limitation and scarcity and density. So much so that this was kind of deep down and baked in to, those unconscious beliefs. Those were generating and creating the challenges I was experiencing around money. It had little to do with the outer world. It wasn't the work, the pay, the bills, the clients, the bank, the company, or even the people. It was my mentality. To counter my mentality, I worked a lot. I earned decent money, but earning money was a struggle. And because it was a struggle, I wasn't appreciating it. Spending money was even more challenging. Because of the stresses and strains of my false beliefs created around money and finances, I made poor choices. And this is all the opposite of financial freedom. Where money and finances were concerned, I was a prisoner of my own faulty thinking. Then, as a newcomer to the Science of Mind, I could misinterpret the teaching. I kind of thought maybe there's a quick fix here. It would release me from my self-imposed financial prison. I thought, well, all I had to do was learn some nifty new spiritual principle that was the constructive opposite of my limiting false beliefs. So I picked up the lingo pretty quickly. And that principle might be something like, the universe is infinitely abundant. I am an emanation of this abundant universe. Therefore, I am infinitely abundant. Take that principle, apply it through some spiritual practices, maybe give it 2, 3, maybe 4 times, and then the money would just start rolling in. Well, it is mostly sound metaphysically, but my bigger realization was and is that spiritual growth in this instance didn't really work that way. I had a lot more to learn. I had a lot more to heal. So here are some basic concepts about money I have learned. Money, finances, these are inventions of humanity, an effect, a symbol for the exchange of goods and services. Metaphysically, at its best, money is symbolic of a circulation. Money is one of many earth plane representations of the good of God circulating on this human plane of spiritual expression and experience. Money and finances have, like all effects, the value I ascribe to it. And that value is unique to me. The value I give $1 is different than the value you give $1, which is different than another person gives the value of $1. And money only has value when it's circulated. Yes, of course, one has to have prudent savings reserves. And the rest you put into circulation. Giving and receiving money is in some way completing a divine circuit. And it's not really about money itself. We all know this famous quote from 1 Timothy chapter 6, verse 10, for the love of money is the root of all evil. And there are some people who have coveted it and have thereby erred from the faith and have brought to themselves many sorrows. This is true for the love of anything that errs from the faith. When I put more stock or faith or love into any person, place, or thing, like money, and that person, place, and thing is separate and distinct from living spirit, I am making a false god of that person, place, or thing, which, detached from universal love, usually leads to poor choices and negative experiences. So there's another flawed concept that I picked up, that if I could just magically increase the flow of money in my life, it would solve all my challenges around money and life would be grand. You know, most folks who suddenly get a lot of money, like through an inheritance or winning the lottery, they generally are not able to sustain that more abundant life, because getting a lot of money does not free oneself from a poverty consciousness. It does not release one from those false beliefs in lack, limitation, scarcity, and density. This leads me to something else I learned. Rich folks do not necessarily have an abundance consciousness, and poor folks do not necessarily have a poverty consciousness. Rich or poor, a poverty consciousness is still a life that is filled with stress and strain, disease, and discord around money. Rich or poor, an abundance consciousness, a healed consciousness around money and finance, is financially free, no matter how little or much money someone has. And if one heals those false beliefs of lack, limitation, scarcity, and density, that does not mean one will suddenly have a lot of money. It does mean that your consciousness is prepared for a better life, a life of financial and economic freedom, with what you have now and what you grow into. It does mean you make better choices and you become a much better steward of the blessings already operative in your life. And after I tried and failed with those quick fixes, I came around to the sometimes challenging work on my consciousness. With the help of the Science of Mind and Spirit and many classes and great practitioners, I came to this moment when I was 6 years old, in which a false belief in lack, limitation, scarcity, and density got formed. I can remember it was right after breakfast and I was ready to go off to school. Mom usually packed a lunch for my brothers and I, but today she didn't have the groceries on hand. She asked my father for some money so that I could buy lunch at school. And then my parents had some angry words, which really shook me up. And in that moment, unbeknownst to me, really until decades and decades later, I had created a false belief and began at the age of 6 to be stressed about having enough to eat and having shelter and having clothing, all from that one little moment. Recalling and healing that process revealed to me that the belief was false even at that time, because my parents were able to give my brothers and I money for lunch that day. Even though the stress and struggle appeared real to me, the belief causing the stress and struggle was false all along, because my parents and family and the infinite creative have always provided my needs from day to day. Decades later, with the false belief now brought to conscious awareness, I was able to begin to bless and release it. In its place, I was able to and continue to forge positive, productive, spiritually true mentalities. And if I can heal and grow consciousness in this way, you can too. What's true for me is true for you and is true for all beings everywhere. Healing false beliefs leads to living life that has fewer challenges and a life with more thoughts of abundance, affluence, prosperity, plenty, and generosity. And those thoughts give rise to feelings of abundance, affluence, prosperity, plenty, and generosity. As you feel more abundance, as you feel more affluence, prosperity, plenty, and generosity, you notice and appreciate more of what you already have, including money. Abundance, affluence, prosperity, plenty, and generosity are powerfully productive feelings that help you make better choices around your money and finances. You increasingly feel a spontaneous good, which is God flowing in your life, and that includes increasing that flow of money to you and through you. Money and finances then takes its rightful place in your thinking, your feeling, your intuiting. Earning money feels better, spending money feels better because you know, feel, and intuit that you're playing a bigger part in the circulation of living spirit. Well, thanks for listening to my message, and all the best for you. Have a wonderful day.
Thanks for tuning in to the Vida Spiritual Connection. Please visit our website to submit a confidential prayer request. While there, sign up for our weekly email and receive the latest information for events, classes, and meetups. Remember to subscribe to Vida's YouTube channel, click like, and click the bell to get notifications. You can also find Vida on Facebook and Instagram. Whoever sows generously also reaps generously. Giving is a spiritual practice. As you bless the world, you are blessed. Your financial contribution to Vida Spiritual Learning Center is an investment in your spiritual education and flow. Your contributions support your spiritual growth and this show, so it's a win-win. Use the link on our website, drop a check in the mail, or Zelle your contribution to 562-928-6460 or to vida@vidaslc.org. Thank you for your generous support. Have a wonderful week and see you next time for the Vida Spiritual Connection.